in the winter of 1692, Massachusetts, a small village, Salem. Snow-covered alleys and wooden huts stand silent until suddenly a wave of fear begins to spread. A few teenage girls start behaving strangely, screaming, trembling, speaking of unseen terrors. The village pastor looks at them and says, "This is the work of the devil." This small event marked the beginning of what we now call the Salem witch trials. Between February 1692 and May 1693, nearly 200 people were accused of practicing witchcraft. Most of them were women, but men were also among the accused. 30 were convicted, and 19 were executed. 14 women and 5 men. Another man, Giles Corey, refused to enter a plea in court. As punishment, he was pressed to death under heavy stones until he died. At least 5 others died in prison from illness without ever being proven guilty. But the panic didn't stop there. The flames from Salem village spread to nearby towns, Andover, Topsfield, and across 25 different settlements in New England. Most of the accusers were teenagers, and courts accepted spectral evidence, dreams, visions, and claims of harm by invisible spirits as valid testimony. Judgments were passed by the Court of Oyer and Terminer, and later by the Superior Court of Judicature. These courts even accepted what we now consider fantasy as legal evidence. But over time, both religious leaders and the public began to question, are these accusations real? Are we killing innocent people? Gradually, exonerations began. In 1702, the Massachusetts General Court declared the trials unlawful. In 1711, some victims were officially declared innocent, but the process was slow. By 2001, 5 more victims were cleared of charges, and in 2022, Elizabeth Johnson Jr., convicted 329 years earlier, was formally exonerated. This episode became one of the most horrifying instances of mass hysteria in American history. False accusations, religious extremism, and a broken justice system, together they created a tragedy. As historian George Lincoln Burr once wrote, "The Salem witchcraft trials were the rock on which the theocracy of New England shattered." Today, when we remember Salem, we don't just look at the past. We see fear, violence, and blind belief that turned people against each other. In 2017, a memorial was built at Proctor's Ledge, where many had been hanged, to teach future generations the cost of injustice. Salem reminds us, when a society strays from justice and fear becomes more powerful than truth, history teaches us only through the weight of its regret. This is not just the past, it is a warning for the present. The 17th century, from the quiet villages of Europe to the American colonies, one word, witch, had become synonymous with fear and superstition. A single accusation destroyed the lives of thousands of innocent women and men. By the mid-17th century, while witch trials were slowly declining across most of Europe, the nightmare was far from over. Its remnants still haunted remote corners of Europe and the new American colonies. In 1692, in the village of Salem, Massachusetts, this madness erupted again, like a storm of hysteria. In 1668, English religious thinker Joseph Glanvill published a book, Against Modern Sadism, in which he claimed he could prove the existence of witches, spirits, and ghosts. He wrote, "If you deny spirits, you are also doubting the existence of God." For him, this wasn't just religious belief, it was divine truth. Glanvill argued that wise and faithful people must believe in witches and spirits, because denying them was not just denying the devil, but angels, even God himself. In that era, such doubt was seen as rebellion against faith and was labeled heresy. These ideas took root in America as well. In Massachusetts, a strict Puritan minister, Cotton Mather, published a book in 1689, Magnalia Christi Americana. In it, he wrote, "Demons are real, and they walk among us." Thinkers like Glanvill and Mather tried to prove that these fears, this terror, were not imagination, but a real threat. But the question arises, was there any real proof behind these beliefs? In courtrooms, spectral evidence, testimony based on dreams or visions of spirits, was accepted as truth. Hundreds were convicted on this basis, many sentenced to death. Most were women, orphans, the poor, or those simply seen as different. Gradually, some began to question these supernatural claims. Inside churches and courtrooms, voices rose, asking, "Is this all just a product of fear? Are we punishing people for what only exists in imagination? Has the justice system become trapped between religion and fear?" Time passed. The flames of the witch trials slowly died down, but the writings of men like Joseph Glanvill and Cotton Mather remained in history as a warning that when faith, power, and fear stand together, justice is the first to fall, and society drowns in its own terror. Knowing history isn't just knowledge. It is a warning.